Hello, Jim Lurkey, owner of Safety Connections, and I facilitate the safety programs here at Sohn Manufacturing. So I welcome you, the new employee, and we're going to go through a checklist today. And part of it is on this checklist, there'll be a handout for you to check off each category. I think there's 66 categories. And my telephone number and name is up there. If there are any questions whatsoever, after review, I expect definitely to hear from you. So welcome again to Sohn Manufacturing. Number one, I cover what you need to know. So first and foremost, lockout, tagout. Two identified employees. One is called the authorized, the other one's called the affected. Affected employees, all you need to know is do not touch a lock, remove a lock or tag, do not touch. Authorized are those that actually perform lockout, tagout, and de-energize all energy sources. Next, SDS safety data sheets. Where are they located? They're located on all computers. You have access at any time you want. And lastly, you need to know everything you need to know about a chemical is in a safety data sheet. Next, everyone should know where your first aid supplies are located. Okay, and if you don't know, please make sure you look because they're readily available for you. Emergency evacuation, all right. Where do you go? Outside W3 door by the shipping dock. There is a brown red garage, and we meet on the other side of that. Fire alarms communicated through the intercom and or fire alarm. Okay? Intercom, you would dial intercom and page where it says the speaker, all right, and repeat twice. Okay? Accident reporting required immediately. And it's a win-win situation because number one, it's reported, and number two, management can take the corrective action so nothing more severe happens. Safety glasses required. Safety shoes, composite type shoe is required. Closed toe, I should say, all right, or steel toe. Hearing protection, voluntary. Forklift, no one drives forklift unless you are trained and qualified. Moving on, crane and hoist must be trained to operate any kind of crane or jib hoist, including the hookups. Proper lifting. Shoulder width, 1 foot in front of the other. Head and back as straight as possible. All right, bend at the knees. You take a good grip, and when you're lifting, lift with legs. If it slides away from you, let go. Make sure you protect yourself. And there is a handout for that. Teamwork, absolutely critical. And we do that out of respect for each other. Respirator, what do you need to know about respirator training? You must be trained before using a respirator. No jewelry, okay? Guarding requirements, if it has a guard, it's got to keep a guard on. There's no removing guards unless it's for lockout, tagout. Personal protective equipment regarding fall protection. In manufacturing, if we step off a ladder, anything that's 4 feet or higher, we must then go through the training of fall protection and requirements for wearing a harness. Inspections, pre-use, before each and every use of tools, power tools, you name it. Electrical, what do you need to know about electrical? If there's a switch that needs replacing or fixing, or lights need fixing or replacing, we must tell somebody in maintenance or the supervisor in charge. And also we must check electrical cords for any cracks, splits, tears, including 3-prong plugs. And if something's missing, we must notify supervision. Never use black tape, by the way, because that doesn't help protect from a water standpoint. Next on the list is face shields are required when using a grinder, whether it's a bench grinder or a regular grinder. Primary exit is your nearest exit. Secondary is every exit thereafter. And by all means, if there's a fire, you always go out the nearest, safest exit. Tornado shelter, all right? Tornado shelter is SMI and rewind goes to the shipping area bathrooms. Office and machine shop goes to the demo conference room. Next. Fire verbally communicated, and in our situation, it's the intercom, okay? And dial the intercom, hit the speaker button, okay? And when you repeat it twice. Know where your bathrooms and lunchrooms are located. If not, we must always see our supervisor or person in charge. If in doubt, we are required to always ask first. When am I totally trained? Here at Sohn Manufacturing, when I'm totally trained is I want to give you an example. If I were the person training you, okay, and I show you and demonstrate, at the point in time by mutual agreement, you want to perform in my presence as a competent person and qualified, at the point in time that both of us agree that you are totally trained and on your own, are you then let go on your own? So hopefully that clarifies that. Introduction of other employees. Make absolutely certain, whether it's HR, your supervisor, that you know people so you know who to turn to. Now you have also my phone number on this checklist at the very top left. So introduce yourself to other members. Make sure you do know someone to turn to. Use of knives, all right, and placement. Always grab and cut away from all body parts. When done, retract the knife and place it not on the edge, but towards the center of the table and not in our pockets unless you have a tool belt. Second opinion policy, and there is a handout. What it simply means is this. We at Sohn take safety to the degree that if somebody's got a concern and there's a difference of opinion between an employee and a supervisor or management person, we would seek another management person's opinion, taking safety to that level. If we retaliate as a supervisor or manager, we're subject to discipline up to and including discharge. So we take it that serious. Harassment and violence. Zero tolerance for harassment, whether it's sexual harassment, it's verbal, it's belittling somebody. There's absolutely zero tolerance for that. The other thing is violence in the workplace. Verbal and physical. Verbal means someone makes comments like, I'm going to get you, you're going to pay for this. Not acceptable. Zero tolerance. Okay? Physical, you push or shove someone, zero tolerance. Subject to discipline and discharge first time, every time. Safety is a condition of employment. What does that mean? What that means is simply this. We have rules and procedures to follow. They're expected to be followed. That is normal in every company. Grinding wheel, 1/8 inch from the toe guard. All right? That's where our grinding wheel's got to be. Top and bottom, keeping it simple. Respirator storage. Bottom line is when we're not using a respirator, it needs to be in like a Ziploc to keep it free and clean. All right? And don't let anyone else use it because of phlegm, what might be inside that respirator. Stretching. There's a handout. Just some slight stretches can go a long way in the morning during our shift. That's available to you. The second opinion policy there, number 35, you can ignore that. How do we communicate? There's a handout. Our handout is, it's number 3, it's a star that says we communicate in a caring, kind, asking, helping way, respecting every employee. Please remember that. Arc flash. No going into an electrical panel. It's absolutely vital, all right? And the reason being is that panel that goes around the breaker switches, you have to be trained and qualified and competent because it can blast. So no one goes in there unless you're trained, qualified, and approved to do so. Exit locations, if you don't know where they are, you need to verify that ASAP. It's critical. There's a cost handout, all right? $18,953 going way back when, cost over $1 million in sales to make up for it. Workers' comp is expensive. And so we want everyone to make good decisions so that we don't get hurt. Hazardous spill. Our procedure is, number 1, we got to notify a supervisor or person in charge immediately. The reason for that is, do we have to evacuate to make sure the employees are safe? Number 2, if it's in the plant, we don't want it going to the drain. Or number 3, if we're outside, we don't want it seeping into the ground. Bloodborne pathogens. It's called taking universal precautions. One thing is ourself, blood or phlegm. We make sure we clean it up, use the appropriate disinfectant. We keep everything ourselves. That's one thing. If it's someone else's, we need to notify the supervisor, person in charge, so we take the proper cleanup and take those universal precautions. So keep that in mind. Safety meetings, we hold them monthly. We do training. Chocks required with flatbed trailers or semis. We want to make sure somebody's not driving away. Hearing protection, keep clean if you're using it. And when you're done, dispose of it properly by throwing it in the garbage. To get the appropriate, proper use, over your head, pull your ear up and back, seat your plug, let go, and then remove your finger. Got to make sure you got the right protection for your hearers if you need it. Our goals, simple. The way we come to work is the way we go home. It's the same goal for all of us. So please, please keep that in mind. Near miss reports, something happened, something fell out of a rack, no one was injured. Those things need to be reported so we can take the corrective action so we don't attach an injury to that. Fire extinguisher use, voluntary basis. I use the word pass, pull the pin. We aim at the base of the fire 6 to 8 feet away. Squeeze the handle and sweep at the base of the fire. Always have your back to an exit, so you got a means of egress. If you're outside, have the wind at your back. Accident reporting, including tingling, must be reported immediately. We can't stop something if we don't know about it in a leadership position. Ladder safety, 3 points of contact at all times when going up and down a ladder. Never step on the top 2 steps of a ladder. Must inspect the ladder before use for the feet, the rungs, the framework, and also the capacity of a ladder. Just because a ladder's bigger don't mean it can handle more weight. Weight capacity in a nutshell means the weight of yourself, materials, and equipment, all at one time. So please remember that. Weight limit guideline, 50 pounds. Just a reminder, how much can we lift safely? If we can't, we need to use our material handling equipment that's available to us. Slings and chains, what do we need to know? Chains, if we use a chain, we gotta inspect it for stretching, cracking, splitting, Anything deformed, it's required. If it's a sling, we need to make sure that engraved is the weight capacity, it's readable, and to make sure that when we inspect, there's no reddish or orangey strings coming through. If that's the case, we got to tear it up or cut it up and destroy of it. Staying out of harm's way at all times of any and all moving objects. That is from head to toe. Never getting in harm's way of anything, whether it's use of a machine, a tool, anything. So always keep that in mind. Excuse me, walking working surfaces. We got to look, think, and listen before we make movements. And we got to look at the floors for anything and everything from whether it's oil or grease or water or anything on the floor. We got to make sure we clean it up. Okay? Critical. OSHA fines. Today it's over 15,000. Willful repeats over 156,000 per violation, and that is going up in January. So everyone needs to take responsibility for their safety and the safety of others. So therefore, next, if we're ever unsure, we must always see a person in charge. There's no exception to that. Hand and power tool safety requirement, we always have to inspect before use. If we don't know how to use something, we got to ask and make sure we do know so before using any equipment. That's no different than a machine for that matter. Seat belts, if anything has a seat belt, it's required to wear it. Maintenance is to be done by maintenance people, period, and qualified. If in doubt, we don't operate anything. Ergonomics, trying as best we can to switch hands, switch feet, stretch. Just want to encourage keeping ourselves limber can help to go a long way to be safe. If ever a doctor-treated case, we're required to report it immediately. And from the standpoint of restricted duty, we will do what we can to accommodate people, to keep people employed. Employee assistance, if somebody is in need of help, by all means, see your HR department. And there's always a crisis number that's available. Well, that number is 459-3951, 24/7. Corrective actions, if any are needed, we always see our supervisor or a person in charge, no matter what. Your number one priority is being safe and looking out for the safety of others. Always keep that in mind. COVID, CDC guidelines, sick, stay home, distance yourself, wash your hands more often than not. If you have to be tested, there's things out there you can test yourself. So use good judgment and be safe. And remember, your safety matters as well as the safety of others. We need your help. Welcome to Sohn, and please make good choices each and every day. And I thank you, and I look forward to meeting you personally when I pay a visit at Sohn Manufacturing. Take care. Thank you.